Uh, Hello, my dear students. Good afternoon, dear, and I hope that you are all fine and you are doing well. Um, as I started actually lecturing you there today, in the last lecture, I also talk about behaviorist theory, but I just continue lecturing you on this. So obviously, in 1957. Something regarding language appear and which really cause some trouble in the world of languages, and that would really obviously make our thinking and thoughts about it. uh, that piece of literature which appear that would really come to affect how we view language, uh, according to that, how language is viewed, a human behavior, and language learning. Right? These are very, very important in language learning issues, and so obviously, B.F. Skinner, this piece of literature was actually B.F. Skinner verbal behavior, and which obviously applied a functional analysis approach to analyze behavior in terms of their natural occurrence and response to environmental circumstances. It's much focus actually lied on environmental focuses there and the effects they have on human interactions. All right, most of the focus of this particular, was actually regarding the human behavior and behavior. So obviously, environmental factors they were considered to be great contributing factors for languages there. All right. Um, this Skinner behavior learning approach relies on the components of a classical, right, which involves unconditioned, all right, unconditioned and conditioned stimuli, all right, and the operant conditions, but particularly the elements of approach conditional. All right. Now let me tell you what operational conditional refers to. It refers to a method of learning that occurs through rewards, all right, and punishments. So its basic premise actually of this particular theory was actually reward, stimuli and response theory. And reward and punishment were to play a greater role there in the learning of languages. And like this was the kind of behavior, but actually it was linked with the language acquisition there. All right. Behavior operates on the environment to bring about favorable consequences. All right. What I'm going to focus actually the topic that is favorable consequences or avoid adverse ones. Well, in a nutshell, it is said that the favorable consequences are adverse ones. They were going to have an effect actually upon language learning as well. These same ideas of operant conditions can also be applied to language acquisitions. All right, because Skinner believed that language could be treated like any other kind of cognitive behavior. So remember, most of the experiments which were carried on were mostly they were about animals' behavior. But actually, this B.F. Skinner he extended actually the version of even the experiments upon the humans and particularly about actually their language. Right. So so now we move on to and in the its version was actually applied on language as well. So according to this behaviorist theory, language learning, remember, language learning is a process of habit formation that involves a period of trial, error, where the child tries and fails to use correct language until it succeeds. So similarly, the same analogy was applied on language, that like any other behavior which were actually experimented on animals, So the same analogy was applied on language, and actually the role of trial and error uh, does does happen actually, and you see, and child and children language, that the child tries and fails to use correct language until it succeeds. So infants also have human role models and their environment that provide the stimuli, remember, and rewards required for operant condition. Alright, for example, if a child starts babblings, alright, babblings, I have explained actually the term babbling in the previous lecture, which resembles appropriate words, then his or her babbling will be rewarded by a parent, a loud one, by a positive reinforcement, such as smile. Alright, these are a clap. These are smiling and clapping. These are also a kind of rewarding. So thus it indirectly encouraging the child to use their language there. This was his point of view. Since the babblings were rewarded, right, and this reward reinforces further articulations of the same sort of into groupings of syllables, alright, and words actually in a similar situation. Alright, so this was actually noted by this Behavirism. So I mean, further, children also utters words because they cause adults to give them things they want, and they will only be given what they want once the adult is trained or shaped the child through reinforcement, alright, and rewards speech close to that of the adult speech. What in a nutshell, it simply means that when the children, they are rewarded, okay, for saying some word or speech, so obviously and similarly you make the children, you see, to speak language, so the process of reinforcement and rewards keep on going there to make the children and the infants speak there. But long the children will take on imitations or modeling. Alright, imitation or modeling, component of Skinner theories in language acquisition, in which learn to speak by copying the utterances heard around them and by having the responses strengthened by the repetitions, alright, correction, alright, and other reactions that adult provides. What this place here it means, my dear students, this Skinner theory of language acquisitions, where the children mostly they rely on copying actually, copying the utterances which are heard around them there from the adults or other children, alright, and basically and their responses are actually strengthened after doing some repetitions and corrections, and even further they are strengthened and reinforced, you see, after the reactions that adult provide. So I mean, if the adult response is quite positive and reinforced, so that's would superbly, help the child out to learn language more faster and quicker. Alright, however, before a child can begin to speak, they first start by listening to the sounds in their surrounding for the first years of their life. Mostly they look at the sound which are heard around them there. Gradually the child learns to associate certain sounds with certain situations, such as the sound of endearment a mother produces when feeding her child. These sounds then become pleasurable for the child on their own without being accompanied by food, or eventually, the child will attempt to imitate these sounds to invite the attention of his mother. Means when such habit formation takes place, you see there, by looking, the sound that are heard around the children, or if they look at the adults, so then a time comes that the child do not expect anything as reward or reinforcement, you see, from the adult, but they try to continue learning, and that very fashion to which he has been habituated. Alright, if these sound resemble that of the adult language, the mother would respond with reward and the operant condition process begins. Alright, So this mostly, let me just before conclusion, let me say that actually most of the time in this particular approach, even feedback is given actually by the adults, and even the mother uses motherese in order to, you know, to help the child, you see, out to understand a language. So I think this very part I just explained. If you have got any questions, please you just send that to me, or just, you see, write your comments actually on you know, on the YouTube, which I will upload this lecture there. So you just keep continuing and looking at these stuff which I have. Psycholinguistic is a little bit technical topic, you know, a technical subject. Therefore, it requires greater attentions and greater understanding and comprehension on your part. So if you do not try to look at these things, you know, so obviously you will be in trouble. So I'll keep continuing this, and you have to look at these as well. Thank you very much.